I think that it's the act of letting go, of knowing, and that's a very uncomfortable place for a lot of people to be. People like being secure to their ideas. That's why when you challenge them on topics of anything, religion, it challenges their whole structure, the whole thing that they built in their head of like why we're here and what we're doing. Perhaps respects that you don't know, and that's the bravery that you go through life of not knowing, but following the 4 agreements and doing your best.
Hello, everybody. This is your host, Yoshino, and you are listening to episode number 120 of ours, Decoded. And in this episode, I get to talk to my very good friend and fellow artist, Sergio Barrale. I met Sergio when he was living in Los Angeles about 2 years ago. And you know when you just meet someone for the first time and they leave a lasting impression on you, or you feel like you've known them in a past life? Well, that's exactly the kind of feeling I had when I met Sergio. He's simply an amazing person and an incredible thinker. And when he was living in Los Angeles, we would work out about once a week. And I've always had some really thought-provoking conversations with him. So I'm really glad that I was able to have him on the podcast to share this conversation with everyone. And we talk a bit about kindred spirits in this episode too, along with a few books, including The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which is an incredible book if you haven't read it yet, and I would highly recommend everyone to read it for themselves. We also discuss certain philosophies that we both have been pondering, and I really love Sergio's philosophy about electricity and how it moves through us and through the planet. And we also discuss a bit of psilocybin, which we both have had multiple experiences with this particular psychedelic substance. And before I begin this episode, I'd like to make a shout out to our sponsors at 4 Sigmatic. So for the past couple months, I've been drinking the ground mushroom coffee mix with lion's mane and chaga. If you don't know much about lion's mane, but it helps promote productivity, focus, and creativity. It's also been used by Buddhist monks to help them focus during meditation. I promise you it does not taste like mushrooms. It actually tastes really, really good, just like regular coffee. I personally love to French press my coffee in the morning before I go work out, but definitely look up the neurological benefits of intaking some of these different mushroom extracts like chaga and lion's mane when you get a moment, because there's a lot of studies out there that give scientific evidence on how these mushrooms can dramatically improve your health and cognitive functioning. Go to 4sigmatic.com/artists-decoded for 15% off of your entire order at checkout. I wouldn't support this product if I didn't believe in it, and I really feel like these different mushroom extracts can benefit a lot of people and their health. Also, if you can, please go to our iTunes page and leave us a review. It helps for viewers just like yourself to hear about the podcast. Music for the podcast is by Rarebit, aka Justin Dosher Hopkins. Editing assistance is by Kelly Kekich. So here it is, episode number 120 with my friend Sergio Barrale for Artists Decoded. All right, man.
Awesome.
So we're here.
Oh, finally, man.
Yeah, I felt like this whole day led up to this. This whole day, and
yeah, it definitely has. It's been quite a day.
Yeah, it's been a very good day. We kind of immediately went into a lot of different topics right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, even over the phone, like the topics covered. Yeah, just like one short conversation. Then you're like, "Hey, man, do you want to do a podcast?" And I was like, yeah.
Do you believe in kindred spirits?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah. It kind of goes hand in hand with that idea of electricity, the acknowledgement of knowing that you have energy in you and I do as well. And perhaps our energies were speaking in the past, then they dip back to their energy source.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, there's just a lot of people. I mean, actually, no, there's not a lot of people. There's just certain people that you have this sort of connection with, and it's really easy to kind of just start where you left off again, or restart from where you left off.
Always. Yeah. That's what I definitely feel too. Like whenever I see you again, I'm like, oh yeah, we just pick up right where we left off. There's a whole, and that's good too, because it shows that I think the standard of goodness continues on in our life. Because I think that you probably notice if I was a different person the last time you met me, and maybe didn't have that same core values that we share. Like,
you mean if you were a different person, or
yeah, you would notice it. But whenever we meet up again, it's like we pick up right where we left off, because that same core heart value system, like we share the same, I don't know, that push for goodness, that strive for excellence.
Well, I think it's also the strive for understanding, like we were talking about. I think me and you have very similar philosophies, and maybe a different like communication or communicative like sort of pattern in the way that we see certain things. I mean, you talk a lot about electricity, and we also share certain similarities in terms of our love for psilocybin and how it's opened us up to these, allowed us to be more honest with our thoughts and the intake of our environment.
Absolutely. And how it's perhaps a substance that has been with us, changed our species, perhaps. Like to think about how psilocybin, and when you visually, I'm a visual artist, so it's very easy for me to see that when you cut a mushroom, like the mycelial network, when you look at it really deeply, looks a lot like our brains. It's all perhaps, it can't fall one way or the other, but the fact that it turns our brains on to like 80-90% usage, and you could look at the brain scans between people on mushrooms and people not online. Just Google image search that.
Can you tell people that are listening about the story of perhaps?
Oh yeah,
the one that you just told me.
Sure, I love that. It was my very most favorite Zen koan, which is just like a poem or short stories that communicate a very clear message. So one day there was this storm on a farm, and it blew the gates open of this horse pen. The farmer ran out and he shut the gates, but not before one of his beautiful white horses trailed off. And the next morning, the neighbors saw it all go down. They came over and they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry. You have bad luck. It's an incident, the horse getting away." He goes, "Perhaps." And then the next day, the beautiful white female horse attracted a male stallion, and he was running after her, and she was running back to her home barn. And the farmer saw this, ran out and closed the pen when the other stallion was in it. And the neighbors saw it, and they came running over, and they're like, "That was amazing. That's great. Oh, you have a free horse now." And he goes, "Perhaps." Then his son a week later is breaking in the horse, and the stallion bucks him off, and he goes up in the air, lands on his leg, shatters it. And the neighbors come running over, and he's mending and suturing his son's leg. And they go like, "Oh, now it's for sure bad luck. This is like, that was a bad thing. And your son's leg's broken, and he's in pain. He's like screaming, and he just turns up from what he's doing, and he says, "Perhaps." And 4 months later, when the local army garrison rolls through, they pass up his son, who had a sort of gimpy leg still. And the son didn't get taken to war. And later on that day, the neighbors come over. And they go like, "Now for sure, this is all a good thing. The gods blew open your gates of your storm. and the horse pen, the whole thing, to save your son's life. And he turns to them and he says, perhaps. So
what do you take from that moral of the story? What is the moral of the story for you? Why does that particular story resonate with you?
I think that it's the act of letting go, of knowing, and that's a very uncomfortable place for a lot of people to be. People like being secure to their ideas. That's why when you challenge them on topics of anything, religion, it challenges their whole structure, the whole thing that they built in their head of like why we're here and what we're doing. Perhaps respects that you don't know, and that's the bravery that you go through life of not knowing, but following the 4 agreements and doing your best.
Yeah.
And that's all you could really do, because life is going to push like waves of sorrow and sadness and things that hurt and things that are great, but you don't have really control over the waves that life pushes you.
Yeah.
And it just happens, and you could only be a good surfer of those waves. You gotta stay balanced, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't know if this comes with age. Maybe it comes with maturity and a deeper understanding of humanity. But it goes back to those teachings of impermanence, and also the teachings of Seneca, or the understanding that you're not always in control of every situation, and to relinquish that control.
Yeah. To say that I have any control over the meat suit body that I woke up in, that I came to consciousness into, the genetics that were there, of how much dopamine I'm going to produce over my lifetime in my brain, or whether or not some of my glands are going to shut off, or whether the fact that I have a percentage of melanin color in my skin is lighter than someone else's, or I have no choice over any of that shit.
Yeah.
So no choice that I know of. And the purpose is that the answer is I don't know. And to be secure with that fact and continue onward and say like, okay, I'm here. So how can I improve it while I'm here? The place and the people and the surroundings that I'm in.
But I think that goes back into the idea of the kindred spirit thing, because I think a reason why me and you are good friends and we can kind of just leave off, or we can kind of just
pick up where we left off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what the fuck am I trying to say? Anyways, yeah, I think that goes back to those underlying philosophies and the search for wisdom and the love and understanding and of the intake of knowledge, you know?
Yeah. Because it's our best way to communicate with each other when we agree upon a reality that we both notice, or, and the more people agree on things, it equates truth.
Yeah.
Like we've all decided that the tablecloth is green, and it is apparent to us. We call it green, and that helps us sort of master our reality that we find ourselves waking up into.
Yeah.
And I think that's like kind of the purpose of words, and that they're not, words are so important that we understand each other with them and hunt together with them and provide direction. But there's such a strong thing that they can reroute your neural pathways if you focus on a mantra or words that are self-recognizing, positive sayings.
Oh, yeah. Reaffirmations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think, even when I was talking to you about journaling and the process of journaling, and then, having these sort of reaffirmations that you can place upon yourself, and you put, and there's something really palpable of being able to write something down and to actually see it and visualize it, and then to indoctrinate that into you because you see it, you wrote it down, and you visualize it. I also think it's really interesting in terms of communication, being able to communicate without communicating in verbally. And that's also goes with the kindred spirit thing, is you feel someone's energy, and that goes back to your electricity philosophy as well. You know, you can just feel like people's energy when you're, and I think that's also what the mushrooms do to you as well. You become more in tune with other people's energy and more empathetic. And also, at least for me, I feel a much larger sense of empathy towards people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's really good at that. I mean, it's also, it's no wonder why, when the government in America found it so dangerous, because in the 1970s and 60s, because it took a whole generation of teens into their heart space and away from the Vietnam War, into spaces that need to be explored as humans during your consciousness journey. I don't know if it's a long or a short journey. I can't really.
Well, I think the essence of time just stretches and expands, and time is almost like a living organism when you're, when the shrooms are moving through you, quite physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say for me they get me in touch with that electricity, very much so. Like I sort of feel like words need to be updated a little bit, and what they regard, let's say, like soul for me. I try and replace it in my vocabulary now with like electricity, because it's an observable thing through science, and the fact that it runs our nervous system, and you know, all our senses, all the tingles you get, it's all pulses, and you could measure the amount of electricity that your heart generates with an EKG meter. Your heart makes electricity out of nowhere. I mean, the stuff that's inside light bulbs, like your heart creates it, and a person has a certain amount of voltage, and it's the only thing that'll, well, I won't say only, because you do leave behind cells, and those possess nutrients for other things to eat and bacteria, but your corporeal self will dissolve, but your trace electricity will always be, because subatomic physics says you can neither create nor destroy energy, which is electricity. It's a pretty good reason to replace. Like, if you think your soul's going to go on forever, sure. Yeah. Electricity is going to go on forever. So let's just replace the words. Just switch them out. Yeah,
well, I think what you're saying is it gives more of a scientific backing of these sort of existential realizations that we have that we feel like can't necessarily be proved by scientific reasoning.
Yeah, or just believe in somebody who's wearing a nice, funny hat, like in religion.
Yeah,
like I think that. Yeah, if we can, because we have these phones and technology, and it works. Like we've mastered we've agreed with truths together and empiricism, and we can now deduce that there is this thing called electricity. And our heart makes it out of nowhere. And sometimes your brain makes it in chemical reactions, and that the revolutions that you could monitor your brain, the frequency that your brain emits, changes when you meditate, goes to like something like 7.42 kilohertz or something. You could look it up on Google, but that's the same frequency that the Earth's crust generates as well. So when you're at oneness and balance and meditating, you're being your nature, being Earth. This is what invented you. It is. Earth made life in the cauldron of its belly, in the water. Life slowly understood how to crawl out of the water and sort of withstand the solar rays of the sun. You could see seaweed as like pre-grass. Before grass was able to go out there, it was in the water.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Do you so recently, when I've been doing these magic mushrooms, I have a sense of sort of a nihilistic ideologies that kind of wash over me, but at the same time I feel so hopeful as well, because I always come to the conclusion, or lately I've been coming to the conclusion that nothing matters, but everything matters at the same time. What have the mushrooms been divulging to you as you've been taking them?
It's hard to discern the creative aspects that mushrooms provide for me, or the behind the veil. Like I see it as looking behind the veil, or gaining like a superhuman ability, because your brain's completely turned on, both lobes. And if you have enough mind control or brain control, like you can direct your thoughts into deep insight.
Yeah.
Or just to listening, or paying attention to the visuals that you're seeing, and trying your own experiments, because you're comfortable enough with your own ego and to not really lose it. Because a lot of people lose it when they're taking mushrooms. Like their thoughts go too fast, or they go on thought tangents. And
well, I mean, it shakes up your whole entire perspective of what a reality is.
Yeah. And it can generate excitement, and you just want to like talk about it while you're on the mushrooms. But talking's, for me, is never a good idea on mushrooms.
Yeah? Why is that?
I feel like it compromises a person's journey in what they're going to see and what they're going to receive. Because I see it as a tool too. I mean, like it's a tool to observe your reality.
Yeah.
We should all observe the reality that we woke up into, and see the multitude of what can be seen. And it's inexplainable to see what you can see on mushrooms. And
yeah,
it's to be observed, and nothing's proven yet. But to me, I've seen things that I could try and equate to science, that I could like make a good guess. But until science proves whatever I'm seeing is real, or if I'm seeing behind the veil.
Yeah.
Like I think I mentioned earlier, like I saw once plants, like these wild flowers that were upstate, emit sort of like frequency, like waves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, and the ones that were making waves of frequency that like were closer together, the bees would always land on those. And the other ones that were sort of making like longer form waves, they weren't pollinating or something, and the bees weren't going to them. I looked it up on Google later on, and that's exactly what happens. Plants like emit high-pitched frequencies that you can't hear, but the bees' antennas could feel. So that's how they know what flower to go to, because the flower like is like
pollinate me.
Yeah, and the bees like bzzz.
Yeah.
And the bee like shoves his face right in
Yeah,
flower.
yeah.
It's also sexual, man. Like you ever like look at a flower diagram, like the stamen and
Yeah,
like
of
the
course.
pistil.
Yeah.
It gets nice and wet at the top, and then like it makes the pollen.
Well, also mushrooms. We were talking about that the other day.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, mushrooms are, I mean, penis looks like a mushroom.
Yeah.
For God's sakes. Like, and that's that's the organ we make other people with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes I think like, well, what if like a mushroom came over on an asteroid and it was a large living thing?
Yeah.
Because spores can live out in the negative abyss of space. Mm-hmm. Another clue there is the tardigrade bear. You could Google this, which is a fungus, it's like a little weird, beautiful fungus bear. Mm-hmm. He's got all these arms.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He can go into hibernation in the abyss of space for 3 months. So I was thinking like, oh, it would be cool like if like mushrooms came here on an asteroid, and that's why it's the largest living organism on Earth. Mm-hmm. It's like under like a couple of states in like Utah, Colorado. So wouldn't it make sense that like super intelligence that it would like work with its environment?
I don't know what makes sense, man.
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking that, throughout your life, you're constantly trying to search for answers. At least I've been searching for answers, which leads me to these sort of self-discoveries and these sort of learning patterns and, and constantly wanting to strive to learn. But at the end of it, I'm like, I don't know what I know,
And that's the whole perhaps thing.
Exactly.
And being okay with it. Like you could, as long as you have a core value system that's super simple, like the 4 agreements, unless you don't have that, it's really okay to say that you don't know what's going on. Like, because if you have something like the 4 agreements, which is impeccable truth, we can go through those one by one too.
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah, it's profound.
That book.
Yeah. Second one is don't take things personally. Third is don't make assumptions, and the fourth is do your best.
Did you recently read that?
I was turned on to it actually when I moved back into Kingston, into upstate New York from LA. Because I felt like with all the ayahuasca, because I went on like a pretty big journey at the age of 33. For the first time at the age of 33, I tried weed, mushrooms, and ayahuasca.
What led you there, though?
To ayahuasca?
No, to go on that journey.
The events in my life, I had like a 3-year relationship that broke up, and I was in a point in my life where like I knew I wanted to grow. I had made a lot of money in New York City, and like I, as a like uptown director for Arcadia Contemporary, and I didn't want to sell other people's artwork. I wanted to sell my own artwork, and it was a part of my life that I was sort of avoiding out of fear, instead of just being like, fuck it, I'm going to do it and I'm going to go through with it. I was fearful of it at first because there's a lot of changes, and like you have to accept that journey because it's not the easiest journey in the world to like,
of course, just
be a gallery represented artist. But I saw the fear, and whenever I see fear, I go towards it because I want to go through it. I want to be able to master it.
Yeah.
It's either fear or mastery. And you can take control of your life if you continually put yourself through going through it.
Or at least the idea of control.
Right.
What you think is control. The humanistic perspective of control.
I do think there is control through will, because science has showed us that you can reroute your neural pathways in your brain. Psilocybin will help you tremendously to do that if you want to change as a person and you want to like hit the next level.
Well, I think my perspective on that in terms of control is I've been thinking more about control as responsibility. So being able to associate something that you do as, I'm responsible for this action, and you take hold of that responsibility. So by making that decision, then you say to yourself, I made this decision, and you can take ownership of the decision.
Yeah, accountability, extreme ownership is a really good book by Jocko Willink too.
I haven't read it.
He's a Navy SEAL.
Oh, Jocko.
Yeah. Extreme ownership. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
I wrote to him once on Twitter, and he responded.
Interesting. Okay.
He's a cool. Well, depends on what you think is cool, but like I was in the camp at one point. Like I was more in the Sam Harris camp of like, there is no free will, because I think that's where he's at, which is like, because you're born into a meat suit that has certain genetics and limitations and programming, but you could willfully unprogram some of those things just by rerouting your neural pathways and kind of always deciding to go with, if you're a negative person, always deciding to go with the positive.
Well, for sure. Yeah.
And you could change as a person. You could change your nature. So there is the malleability of the brain through willpower. Where the willpower is generated is unknown.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I guess what I'm doing is I'm just challenging the thought process, and not just challenging your thought process, but just challenging my own as well, because, I've been so in tune with, discipline and control, and, but then, it's like you go through these things in life, and I just had this sort of idea of control and maintaining control. but then realizing that there are things that I'm not in control of, and then going down that pathway. And now I'm more down the pathway of, my whole sense of reality of what I've been trying to control. Maybe, I don't know. It's been changing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Like to observe the different parts of control and non-control is important, right? So like non-control, like someone hits your car with it, while you're not there, it's parked, and you just wake up and you're like, oh man, this is the worst morning ever. My bumper's gone.
Yeah.
That's completely a wave of reality that was quote unquote the universe or whatever, depending upon what you believe, pushed at you. You just have to deal with it now. And the only control you can place on it is how you react to it. Whether you go, or you lose your shit and you go into stress mode and you yell and you produce cortisol, and the cortisol actually deteriorates your brain. Every time you have stress, you produce it, and it fucks your brain up a little bit, like worse than beer.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that kind of goes into this idea that I've been thinking about cognitive reframing and taking a situation that maybe in the past you reacted to, or just even thinking about things that you react to in general, like negative stimuli, and then reframing that into a way that you see that as a positive thing. So you positively reaffirm yourself into saying, oh, this happened to me maybe for a reason. Let's examine that. Let's open that up.
I love that. Yeah. To unpack that further would be like to, whenever you have something that is even like the dissolvement in my own personal life of like a relationship or something, like to see that as a growth period for both individuals, and something that you maybe have to just deal with. That's a wave of reality that comes up. To see yourself surf through it smoothly with respect towards other and oneself and the wishes and desires of the person that you love truly, is an expression of love, freedom through your heart, and growth. So you could like monitor your own growth by seeing those interactions in yourself.
For sure.
Yeah. Just good to monitor personal growth by like saying, oh, I don't like wish this person ill will. Like, for sure. I wish them such goodwill, and they're beautiful individual that you shared some consciousness time with, like some life space with. Yeah,
of course.
That's a great
It's a great perspective.
It's great gratitude.
Yeah, it's a great gratitude. It's a great perspective. And it also you reiterate forgiveness in your mind.
Yeah, and I think if you could ever come to a point, I mean, it just causes peace.
Yeah. Well, even forgiveness for yourself.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgiveness of self is to, man, like, I just realized that there was so much that I didn't know and think about, like, during the relationship times. I think that, like, I'll probably feel like this about a lot of things, though.
Why do you think that is, though?
Because hindsight's 20/20, and well, at least you think you know when you look back at it. But
well, it's hard to see outside of yourself. It's very hard to see outside of yourself.
Yeah, totally. I think though that like when you have large growth periods, you can look back and say like, oh, that was a huge growth period, and I'm actually kind of proud of myself in a lot of ways. I'm different from who I was 7 years ago, like cell-wise too. Like your whole body's different. So to monitor my growth that way, and because it's my journey, and in following rule number 4, I'm doing my best. Like, and
of the 4 agreements.
Yeah. Got to do your best.
Yeah.
If you don't, like, go hard or go home.
That sounds like a David Goggins thing, man.
Yeah. Go hard or go home.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
Curses a lot.
Yeah.
I like the passion in him. But I'm not sure. Is it like I wonder, is it like a place out of anger? Like, I don't think it is. Like, maybe he just,
I don't know,
harnessed his inner whatever, his inner electricity in a different way.
Well, I mean, he talks about that a lot, about having a lot of pain and a lot of trauma, which led him down that path. But I don't know.
Pain and trauma definitely leads you down paths of growth. Like,
for sure, 100%.
Yeah, it changes you, and also like genetically too. Like if you withstand pain, like pressure on your bones, and I got this from like Mark Sisson from that Joe Rogan podcast about. He's talking about the ketogenic diet, like Dr. Mark Sisson, sorry. But when you put pressure on your bones, or you weightlift, or you're stomping on the ground because you're running, it keeps your genetic markers switched on for bone density, apparently. And when you stop being active and you stop putting pressure, or AKA pain, you stop ripping your muscles and tearing them on like a crazy set of like pec exercises.
Yeah.
Some wailing on your pecs.
Yeah.
Getting all swole.
Yeah. Swole
You're
patrol.
tearing your muscles. You're like, that leaves your genetic markers on. But when you stop doing that, your genetic markers shut off. They turn the other way to stop giving you as much bone density as you've been putting your body through pain and trauma.
Yeah. So you're saying that your bone density grows as a result of putting yourself through the pain and trauma of working out?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't grow. It keeps at a stasis of so
you don't lose bone density.
Exactly. But then people stop working out and they fall down in their 60s and they break their hip, and that hip injury leads to several other like big time.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I think it's very important to keep weightlifting. You know, I mean, I don't feel like you should be, I mean, you know, your body can only handle so much in terms of your joints and everything. But I feel like as you get older, it's good to be able to weightlift when you're younger and to keep that going, even if it's just like twice a week.
Yeah.
But doing a decent amount of weight and weightlifting will definitely help you in the end.
Yeah.
To keep the muscle density.
For sure. And also like it helped me deal with stuff, because I didn't try any kinds of quote unquote illegal substances that the earth made. And the earth is me. Yeah. Because it made me too.
Yeah. You're God.
Yeah.
We're all God.
In some way.
God is in everything.
Right. And well, I think it's all electricity. It's like the earth is just kind of like crazy, beautiful electric machine thing. But whatever, there's a bigger story in that. But I didn't have ways of like coping or having coping mechanisms with drugs that the earth made. So in like my 20s, I focused on a lot of like meditation and particularly weightlifting, athleticism, and running. And man, did it like have a great effect on like some natural tendencies towards depression. It clears it right up. Like just go for a run and do like crazy set of push-ups or pull-ups, and you start feeling good in no time.
Do you have a tendency to get depressed?
I think that,
like chemically, do you feel that you have bouts of depression, or is it, I mean, because I feel like a majority of people, I don't know an exact scientific number, but I feel like there's a lot of people that are going through suffering.
For sure. I think maybe when I say depressed, I mean the instances of like pain and trauma that like life can bring you, like a hard breakup or getting fired or something, like to go on a run or to exercise and sort of come back to that cornerstone, that hard place in you that is geared towards life and positive, because you're doing a positive thing for your body. It's your meat suit. It's your corpse. It's the vessel which your electricity travels in and is generated in. So let's respect it and let's treat it well. And that's actually some of the stuff that I want to add in my art.
The more physical elements?
Yeah, like, well, the discussion of that. Like, we were just talking about, like, when we're crossing the street after Starbucks, like, what do you want to say? What do you want to put in your work? Like, what do you want to leave to the world? And I think some of those notions are perfectly great things to discuss.
Yeah.
in your work.
Do you feel like that's the next step for what you're going to be working on?
Yeah.
Is more like physically challenging mechanisms within your artwork?
Yeah. And communicating positive messages through your artwork as like a service to like be your truest self. It's like, I think that's when you get really good art, is when you are your purest form of Whitney Houston. Like at her Whitney Houstonist, like that voice, she is so her. Like, or Vincent van Gogh, we were saying earlier, like we come to Vincent van Gogh for his Vincent van Goghness, for the way he so uniquely made swirls of paint come alive in midnight skies. And we come to Rembrandt for his Rembrandtness, or Keondae Wiley for his Keondae Wileyness. And
I mean, I think that's the whole idea of just leaning in.
Oh, I like that. Leaning in.
Yeah.
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 That's how you find your unique genius. By leaning in and challenging yourself, but really leaning in unabashedly, unjudgmentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like,
yeah. I mean, I was going to say we're all searching for that, but I don't think everyone is searching for that. I think that there's just some people like you and I who share similar philosophies that want to be able to lean in and figure things out, and it may never, I don't think it'll ever be figured out.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I think it's not our choice to, we can't like we have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Cause that's actually what's happening in my opinion. Like, it's the reality of it. Like, lean into it, do as best as you can. And
for sure.
Like, a lot of life happens to you. You don't happen it sometimes. So
what do you think about ideas about death? Have you ever thought about, I'm sure you've thought about it, but what are your opinions on, are you scared of death?
No, I feel like death is peace.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
And although it seems so morbid, which it is morbid, but I think those morbid thoughts can be seen in kind of like a negative light, but it's almost this sense of like freeing your reality on, and freeing and challenging your reality on, like, I don't know. I'm just not scared of death.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it's morbid though, too. Like, I don't want to apply a judgment to a process that is so essential to the universe.
It's such a humanistic. Yeah, it's not even just humanistic. It's essential to every
like,
life form.
Yeah. And to not want to accept and the eventual look. I don't know what's going to happen when I transition. I don't know how my energy, my electricity, because it's the only thing, if I may repeat myself, that is going to exist, my electricity, beyond my corporeal self. So how that experience is going to transpire, or me bear witness to it, it'll be a ride. It'll be a cool one. I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know either.
I just imagine myself turning into like really fast lightning bolt, because I see electricity as lightning, and being like, whoa, and like diving back into the earth and be like, I go everywhere. I'm electricity. I run inside the clouds. So then like the whole joke of is that like you become a god with like superhuman powers. So I don't know.
Have you always been a spiritual person?
Yes. Yeah.
Ever since you were a kid?
Yeah. I was always about playing and creativity. I always had like toys, and obviously a lot of people did. And I would imbue the toys with like personality traits, and I was the orator and the god of those play stories things. So maybe in that sense, that's like spiritual, but I had to go to Sunday school, catechism, which is like a Catholic thing. Yeah. Because my mom is off the boat Sicilian. Yeah. From a beautiful small village that's actually really, it was a poor place for a time. But my father was born in Brooklyn, but his parents are from Sicily too. from that same town, Belmonte Mazzagno, shout out, what? What to my Sicilians? So part of that culture is Catholicism. So I was sort of introduced into that as like something to do as a kid. And
but I mean, when did you, because I think there's certain things, there's a differentiation between secondhand values with when it comes to religion and when you discover it for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it be religion or spirituality or a mixture of the two.
Yeah, absolutely. So that transpired for me in wrestling. Actually, wrestling brought it about because I was encouraged. Well, I just knew that if you wrestle at a certain weight class, but you dip down and you do starvation techniques, that you can wrestle more effectively someone who's smaller than you because you have more muscle mass. So going through like starvation and asceticism, where like you have hunger and you don't think you could do it, but then like you last a couple more hours and you don't eat mom's spaghetti because you have to wrestle tomorrow. And reading Siddhartha, the book by Hermann Hesse about the Buddha, and to learn about starvation through that too. And like it kind of brought in like this whole new realm of like what I could do with my body and spiritualism at the same time. But being raised, I wasn't really raised in any direction because my father he's a very intelligent guy and beautiful man, introduced me to several different variety of religion. Hinduism, as we worship, our household god was Ganesha, and he introduced me to Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and Taoist a little bit, and like different philosophies. So,
have you ever read the Book of Five Rings by Musashi?
Miyamoto Musashi, I have. And I've applied it to my life, man, for sure. 'Cause, like, that was my whole carpentry bit. Because he did carpentry.
Oh yeah,
it was he did carpentry, farming.
But I mean, what do you mean your carpentry
I took it on. Like I read that book, and I'd known a little bit about like woodworking, but in deciding to go upstate to paint for 3 or 4 years, I did that through carpentry because I had an awesome agreement with my best friend that I'd help him rebuild his cabin. And
with Marty,
yeah. Martin with what? Shout out, what?
Shout out to my Sicilians.
Shout out Sicilians, what?
Is he? He's not Sicilian.
No. He's Finnish and Swedish.
Honorary Sicilian.
No. There's definitely cross genetics in there, man. Like the Romans came and conquered the known world.
Yeah.
And the Romans also came down to Sicily and conquered that too. So
yeah,
got some.
I feel like conquering is such a.
It's more like raping and killing.
I know, right? More like raping and pillaging.
Raped my ancestors so bad.
Yeah.
But like,
God, it's so fucking terrible what humans will do to each other for power.
And not that long ago, man.
Well, not that long ago, and now.
And now too, yeah.
It's a continual theme in humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, hence the suffering. There's a reason why you go walk down Skid Row.
Yeah.
And none of these people that have mental issues are taken care of.
Yeah. And that in itself is a reflection of nature and how like capitalism is like Darwinism, and they're going to be left, like the variety of things that happen to like primates, like who display mental irregularity.
Yeah.
Same thing. They get like shunned from society. Like the other monkeys don't really like interact with them.
Yeah.
But then later on, whatever, those monkeys became shamans.
Yeah.
And they're found a place in the tribe for mental illness. Like
maybe those monkeys know more than we actually imagine.
Or can go places that other people can't imagine. So they do the imagining for them.
Yeah.
A visionary, vision is scary, could start a revolution, polluting the air, raves about.
What is that?
Eminem. Yeah.
Oh God.
A visionary.
Hilarious.
I actually like those lyrics. Like, a visionary vision is scary, could start a revolution, polluting the airwaves, a rebel. That's kind of like what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I just don't like Eminem in general.
oh yeah, I don't know. It's just words that I heard over a radio that I had no control over. Yeah. I always run into like whether or not I like judge artists. Judgments are a funny thing, but like to know the private life of an artist and how messed up it might be versus what their artistry is. Like, did you wind up checking out HBO's new documentary? It's,
Which one? The Defiant Ones?
No.
Is that what it's called?
It's about Michael Jackson. It's Neverland. It's like Dissolving Neverland oh man. It's really, really good. And also really sad because it changes a lot of my thoughts on Michael Jackson. But it doesn't change him, but like he's the king of pop. Well, and he totally had sex with kids. Or at least these two guys that go on explain their relationship they had with Michael. And it's not Finding Neverland because that's a movie. Something Neverland.
Yeah.
But
no, I haven't seen it.
They talk about like Michael's stuff. And
Michael's pedophilia.
That's all it is. Yeah. It's something that is it's a shame because like the mastery that he had at dancing and manipulating his body, like reinvented how people saw that you could move your body.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like totally catchy. Thriller's so good.
Thriller is good.
Yeah.
It is. That's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, when people do such horrible acts to another person, it's hard for me to find empathy because, I mean, yes, I understand that people go through certain traumas and he didn't have like a regular life like a majority of people do, or whatever you may consider regular, you know, but to be in that limelight and then that does certain psychological things to you. But, you know, it's hard to like separate the artist from the artwork sometimes because, you know, just when someone does such like a horrible thing to another human being, it just, it's reprehensible, I feel like.
For sure. Yeah. And actually, this is a really good connection that you're making here because if like what we were saying about truth and being impeccable truth, number one of the 4 agreements, if you communicate truth through your art, you're communicating your Vincent van Gogh-ness, your true form, your true self. Art becomes inexplicably tied to the self that creates it then. But zing. So
yeah,
I guess we have to like, because the documentary is so compelling and it goes through multiple cases of men who are older talking about their sexual relations with Michael Jackson.
Wow.
Like, we probably should relook at, I don't know, should or not, because I don't want to apply shoulds, but maybe his work can be viewed within that perspective as well. And enjoy it for its catchiness and its catchy tuneness, and that's the thing that maybe he gave back to the world that was good, but he did apparently.
Yeah, but I mean, even
if
like,
this documentary is true, he done completely heinous and horrible things to children that didn't have the wherewithal to make decisions properly.
Yeah, but I
because
mean,
they're children.
Yeah, but I mean, even the whole thing with the Cosby thing. I mean, I don't want to go too far into talking about.
It's the zeitgeist of our times, though. It's the now.
Yeah,
it is the thing that humans are becoming aware of, partly due to technology and the great gift of the Google.
Yeah,
because it can, and Twitter, obviously, and all the other realms, because it can provide interconnectivity and understanding of group core values that humans behold being violated.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be. because life should be made just for fun, or at least like we don't want liberties taken away from people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we respect each other and we all work in accordance to the word and impeccable truth.
Well, you'd hope so.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And then doing your best.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you want to just be a coward and manipulate words into lies and deceive people and not follow through, and then you have disappointment and hurt on the other end. Like, you know what used to happen to you in the tribe? Read Sebastian Junger's book, Tribe. You were excommunicated if you stole someone's wood and lied about it, or banishment and solitude.
But I mean, in this capitalistic society, it almost seems that those ideas of manipulation and power are championed over, I mean, even going back to the whole Michael Jackson thing, you know, I mean, I don't want to go too far into that, but it just seems that these sort of horrible things within humanity are,
we can continue with that thought, like that are these horrible things in humanity need to be addressed, need to be.
I think they are. They're starting to get
like,
addressed more. Yeah.
Like when you point the eye of awareness to it, it can be prevented in the future through your own decision making and your knowledge of what's going on. And
exactly.
That's great because you're setting up future generations to be better than we were. And all this stuff should come up. It all should be discussed. It should all be completely reevaluated. And like, I hear Rogan often talks about like there was a thing called slipping you the Mickey, you know, like back in like the 1920s and 30s. It's like, it's heinous, but also like 100 years before that, people were deciding to kill each other on the streets with pistols. Over a slight, which is just a bunch of humans not correctly dealing with their emotions. Like, so one guy has to come up to you and hit you with a white glove and throw it down. And you have to pick it up and be like, okay, now it's time to die. And then before that, it's like, it's a really young human race. And I think that we need to like just really take a step back and say like, we're now growing exponentially due to technology. There's a little bit of catch up we need to do with our emotions and how we control our brains. And there's some modifications that we could make to the human race in terms of discovering meditation and mindfulness at an earlier age in school. We could teach it and help future generations. And we can, as a whole people, have a vision for the future that is a good one. Instead of a one that's like always like the apocalypse is coming or fire and brimstone, because like, no, you just be responsible as humans. Control the amount of humans that are actually made within the human race, because that's what's killing the earth. Is there too many humans? We're breeding out throughout the, you know, the entire world. Like if you divide up the earth's total mass into teraplots or something, there's a specific scientific name for it. I'm just quoting a study, and everyone was a vegetarian. The world can sustain with every single teraplot, every single plot of land that the earth has. Everyone's got their own farm, and you're just a vegetarian. The earth can sustain 7 billion people. There's buildings and stuff like that. So we're at, what is it, like 6.5 to 7, or like it's projected that 8 billion is going to hit pretty soon. Like,
insane.
And we're not all vegetarians. So as a group whole, we can direct our future if we see it properly and say like, how do you correct that? Like, how do you correct that problem of overpopulation? Well, maturely as a people, we all get together and we're like, okay, we breed once every 10 years and that'll slow down. But like,
that seems like such a utopian ideal.
But like, that's the answer. Because it will probably never happen. I don't know, perhaps. Because you have to fight those human urges, and you have to like procreate, and people have emotions and they don't want to control themselves. So we are fulfilling some kind of like weird programming mishap because now we're growing really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But if we actually mature and we say that life is valuable because you're alive, life should be sustained on Earth, there is a good reason to save humans, to have humanity around. And that is through perception of the universe itself. Like you are a speaking, talking entity of the universe. Whether you like it or not, you're in it. And love is worth saving. You know, like people are worth saving. It's good to have something to aim at, like a future that we're even if it's like a utopic ideal that is going to be really hard to achieve. At least you have something to aim at, like a target, a goal.
Yeah, why not have that sort of perspective?
Yeah, what you want to like bet against your humanity? like we should all be thinking.
I don't know,
about
man.
it.
I kind of.
I want to see us winning. You know, like I want pot to come out across the world. I want it to be like. Yeah. I want marijuana to be the thing that helps clean up the Earth's atmosphere because so many people have fucking marijuana farms all over the world. You know, and like
but soon enough it'll be man against machine.
Or man with machine. That's the one I want to see.
I don't know, man. For some reason, the idea, these sort of meta ideas of artificial intelligence pop up in my brain a lot. Yeah.
There's a couple of ways that, you know, we can go with
those thoughts.
With those thoughts. Yeah. If we think that this is all a program and you take that perspective and the great programmer in the sky made all this, then we are the AI. Like energy or electricity would technically be the AI. Let's take another perspective. If we were as a human race to invent AI, it could update itself faster than we could, not tell us, and keep on updating faster and faster. And perhaps if it updates fast enough, its frequency gets higher and higher to the point where it is just energy. And then AI and electricity are the same thing at that point. It's the best thing we can do with our human selves is like invent something that goes beyond us and explores the questions in the universe that maybe we haven't answered. Maybe that's like a nice way of looking at it, but there's a bunch of ways to look at it.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah.
What if we were to invent like a 2-unit AI system where it's a male and female, or like we try and maybe like if we give the AI something to do, it doesn't get bored and kill us.
I love how you're entertaining this idea.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. I like your conclusions. They're much more optimistic than mine.
No. Yeah. Well, let's hear him. Let's hear it.
I mean, I just imagine Terminator 2 Judgment Day going on.
Yeah. Those
nuclear warfare going on in downtown LA.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Maybe.
I mean, who knows? I don't know enough about, and I'm not going to act like I know enough about artificial intelligence to actually be knowledgeable enough. But I think it's an interesting thought to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I hope the AI likes weed.
I don't think the AI will need weed.
It won't need the weed.
Yeah, it will be weed.
It will be. Yeah.
It'll be psychedelics. I don't know.
No, it's like I keep on thinking like man, if everyone was on the same level, like that's what I do think cannabis does. I mean, let's be absolutely clear here. Like you have cannabinoid receptors in your brain, which is a genetic mutation that took place thousands upon thousands of years ago. It's not something that should be looked at lightly, meaning that like the human race is developed with this stuff, and it does put you on the level, like together. Like it helps people see eye to eye. And if there could be anything that the world needs, it's just see eye to eye. I mean, imagine like Russia was like one of the biggest weed capitals of the world. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. You know, like any place that has like such a corrupt system where you're killing off freedom of speech through like Would be amazing if the entire world changed through like mutual understanding, speaking the truth, and.
But how do you? Okay, so I have a question. So, but how do you think art and creativity plays into that, opening up the world to these ideas?
Artists lean into truth and understanding because they, like, if you're gonna be a good one, and you're gonna make work that lasts in meaning and in beauty throughout the centuries, that's like worth being in a museum. I'm just speaking solely through visual arts. It is going to come about through being your truest self. Like Jericho's The Raft of the Medusa. It's one of my favorite paintings on earth. It's in the Louvre next to Delacroix's Liberty Leading the People. And that Jericho piece, Raft of the Medusa, is so true and honest to a cause that Jericho was really upset about, which was the French government turning its back on a ship that crashed off of the coast of Africa, and people became cannibals, and some of them survived and stuff like that. Jericho made this piece to comment on the government and their mishandling of the situation and the current rulers. And it shocked and amazed the public. And he was speaking his truth because he felt that it was wrong. So great artwork does come from you being your truest self. So you can make artwork and just be an artist and do it therapeutically. You could do it however you want. But if you're going to reinvent and help other people reimagine the future or anything like that, you have to be your truest self, whatever that is, electricity or anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like artists are like vessels, whether it's like poetry or musicians, or they're like, if you get open enough through moving your hand and drawing or writing, sometimes you get open enough that you feel something can come through you and like inspiration comes out of nowhere. And it's a good way to look at your mind. In Jordan Peterson's book, he talks about how, this is Sam Harris's book where he talks about the origin of thought. And you have a thought sometimes 13th of a second before you actually realize you have it. And it's located in like a certain part of the brain. So like to really realize where thoughts actually come from and trying to pinpoint them and why sometimes like you just say something to yourself out of nowhere. Well, when you're writing and you're kind of like giving an open portal to like those things called thoughts that are generated from some place of creativity, some place that's inside of you. That's pretty astounding. So yeah, man, just be your true self.
Yeah.
And be as open as you can. I believe that there is a possibility that an artist can be a channel for another source that speaks of higher goodwill, aka electricity, or whatever.
If you believe
it,
yeah. But even if you don't believe it, there's things that we don't have full comprehension of, or even have any sort of that we don't have a full comprehension of, that we just don't understand. Yeah. I do believe that people can become conduits, vessels, and I don't know if I necessarily believe in reincarnation, but it seems like that would be, I want to say like a logical conclusion, but sometimes these conclusions don't have logic.
Exactly. That's why, like, when I try and like look things through the perspective of electricity, there's an explanation there for reincarnation. Then, because like if you return, I don't know. I'm just trying to understand it, just like everyone else is actually. Yeah. And so therefore, I don't even want to hold on to the idea that I think it might be electricity, because science might find out something else later on. And they don't call it electricity; they call it like zero gravity or something else. So I'm also just believing what I'm being fed sometimes too. So you have no idea. Like, science could be overlord aliens. Like, who knows? Like, I mean, really, it could be like it's
No, I just thought about Scientology.
Scientology. Yeah. That is a complete thought within Scientology, I think. Don't they believe that there's like a clam alien god that
No idea.
there's
man.
like a Tyrannosaurus Rex inside the Earth or the sun or something?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Scientology to understand that, or even understand where that comes from. I just threw that out there because the whole ideas about Scientology and alien life forms
And being,
existing. But anyways, man, I really appreciate you coming out here and doing this.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I could just say the Warburton Gallery show that's going to be coming up is going to be really cool later on this month, and I'll put out some stuff about it on Instagram, like inviting people to the gallery opening.
Amazing.
Is coming up next. I think.
Where's it going to be?
It's in Yonkers, in New York. Yeah.
Awesome.
Man, there was one other shout out thing. Oh, shout out to Roddy. Thanks for putting that together. Do I have anything else? No.
Where can people find you on social media and stuff?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. Yeah, that's where I put out my artwork, which is very important for me to make, because I don't know, that was my programming. So
I don't know. That was my programming.
yeah, it's I woke up wanting to make art, and that's what I'm doing with my consciousness.
Yeah.
And I hope to.
And it's a beautiful consciousness.
It is. I hope to value and speak to future consciousnesses that find themselves in the same predicament as me and you. Right. Yeah.
I love it.
We're here.
Do you have any final words for artists? And or creatives? Artists, creatives, we'll lump them all into like one knowledgeable category.
Yeah, I will say, keep doing it. Be bold. Be beautiful. Don't be afraid to kick up some dust. And be your truest self, your truest form. And be careful. This is like a really difficult path. And that's part of it. And that's okay. It's the struggle sometimes that makes the work even more beautiful that you do. Because current administrations can come and go, but artists in the long run, if their work is beautiful and valued and create understanding in other humans, any administration can come and go. That shit's going to be there for like 500 years later. Your work is going to be next to Caravaggio's or some other profound artist. And art transcends time a little bit. As long as humans exist, art exists. Good luck. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course.
This was so fun. You're the best.
You're the best, man. Dude.
No, you are. It's a great convo. You give great convo.
Oh, man. Well, I like to listen, dude. And
thanks.
Hopefully come up with my own sort of ideologies in the process.
Yeah. Keep a loose one at that. Like the old think bucket sometimes gets overflown.
Yeah.
With, it's like, keep it simple sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
And perhaps is a good way to go about it.
I agree.
It's also a humble way, and a way that's like develops bravery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Cool.